What if Rome never fell? Imagine how different our world would be today. But first, let's have a look at when and how Rome fell. The fall of Rome wasn't a single event, but a slow, complex process of transformation and collapse over centuries. There are two key dates to remember. Number 1. Traditional date, 476 AD. What happened? The Germanic general Odoacer deposed the last Western Roman emperor, a boy ironically named Romulus Augustus. Instead of declaring himself emperor, Odoacer sent the imperial regalia to the Eastern Roman emperor in Constantinople, effectively stating that the West no longer needed its own emperor. He ruled Italy as a king. Significance: this event is the symbolic fall, because it marked the end of an unbroken line of Roman emperors in the West that stretched back nearly 500 years. Number 2. The true how. A long process of decline, 3rd–5th centuries AD. The deposition in 476 was merely the final symptom of a deep sickness. The fall was caused by a combination of interconnected factors. Political instability. The empire never solved the problem of peaceful succession. Emperors were often assassinated by their own troops, leading to constant civil war. In the 50 years before 476, the Western Empire had over 20 different emperors. Economic crisis, constant warfare drained the treasury. To pay for the armies, emperors debased the currency, reducing the silver content in coins, leading to hyperinflation. The tax burden on citizens and farmers became crushing. Military overstretch. The empire's enormous borders from Britain to Syria were incredibly difficult and expensive to defend. The Roman army began incorporating more and more non-Roman mercenaries, Goths, Huns, Franks, who had little loyalty to Rome itself. The barbarian migrations, entire populations, like the Goths and Vandals, were pushed into Roman territory by the westward movement of the Huns. Rome failed to assimilate them peacefully, leading to conflict, sackings. Rome was sacked in 410 and 455 AD, and the establishment of independent Germanic kingdoms within the empire's borders. The rise of the Eastern Empire. After Constantine, the empire was permanently divided. The eastern half, later known as the Byzantine Empire, was far richer, more urbanized, and more secure. It often looked after its own interests, sometimes to the detriment of the West. Okay, picture this. You're walking through a vibrant market, full of colors and sounds. And the Roman Empire? It just keeps on going, never really falling. No, the Middle Ages. Can you believe it? No knights clashing swords, no grand castles, just a sea of togas, and, well, maybe not the Caesar salad part. It's kind of funny to think about, right? Just a whole lot of folks lounging around in their robes, living life a little differently than we do today. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of my favorite what-ifs in history. What if Rome never fell? You've got to believe me, this isn't your typical snooze fest history lecture. Okay, picture this. Steam-powered chariots zooming by, neon Roman temples glowing, and maybe even a Roman colony chilling on the moon or Mars. How cool is that? Yeah, buckle up, this one's wild. Part 1. Rome survives. So here's the scoop. Rome officially fell in 476 AD, when the last emperor got kicked out. It was a crazy time, right? Everything flipped upside down. Just imagine the chaos, but imagine it didn't. Imagine the empire kept on rolling. Maybe the economy stayed strong. Maybe the legions got smarter. Maybe they invented espresso way earlier and just powered through history. And you know what that means, right? Julius Caesar would definitely have a TikTok account. probably doing sword tricks like Veni Vidi. Wiki, don't forget to like and follow. Part 2. Technology. Now this is where it gets juicy. Rome was already dabbling in some cool tech. Aqueducts, concrete, underfloor heating. And get this, a guy named Hero of Alexandria literally built a working steam engine in the 1st century. Did they use it? Nope, they used it as a temple toy. But if Rome hadn't collapsed, boom, industrial revolution, like 1,000 years early. Instead of knights jousting, you'd have Romans riding around on steam-powered scooters. Uber Chariot 2.0, press a button and a gladiator shows up to give you a lift. Part 3, Language and Culture. If Rome survived, Latin wouldn't be this dead language we force kids to learn in school. Nope, it'd be the global language. Instead of English, we'd all be speaking Latin every day. Part 4. Politics and Power. So, what about government? If Rome never fell, we might all still be under one giant empire. One global government, which sounds kind of terrifying, but also kind of efficient. Modern elections would look hilarious. Vote Consul Maximus, free bread and circuses for everyone. Can you imagine the campaign posters and the debates? My opponent failed to fund the aqueducts. Meanwhile, I'm just standing there in a toga promising faster Wi-Fi in the Colosseum. Part 4, a different global socio-economical landscape. No age of exploration as we know it. If Rome never fell, there would be no need for European kingdoms to find new trade routes to Asia to bypass a Middle East controlled by other powers. Rome would already control those routes. Exploration would be a state-sponsored effort of expansion, not a competitive race between rival nations. The Americas, the discovery and colonization of the Americas would have been an organized, imperial endeavor. The encounter would be between a unified Roman civilization and the indigenous peoples, leading to a completely different form of colonization. Perhaps more systematic assimilation or exploitation, but less fragmented. The Islamic world, the rise of Islam in the 7th century, would have met a unified Roman military force in the Middle East and North Africa. Rather than the weakened Byzantine Empire and the divided remnants of the Persian Empire, the history of the entire region would be dramatically altered. Part 5. The world today. So, if Rome never fell, what would our world look like today? Maybe no British Empire, no Renaissance, no United States. Instead, the United Provinces of Nova Roma. Highways and aqueducts everywhere. Everyone wearing designer togas. And knowing Romans, they'd already have a colony on Mars by now. The first words on the red planet wouldn't be one small step for man. It'd be, Hail Caesar. This land is ours now. Conclusion. The fall of Rome was a huge loss for Europe, but it also made space for new nations, ideas, and identities to emerge. Imagine a world where Rome never fell, super stable, tech-savvy, and global. But you know what? It might miss out on the diversity and competitive edge that shaped our history. A world where Rome never fell would be one of breathtaking continuity and unity, but also potentially one of stifling conformity and slower change. Post-Roman Europe was a wild mix of conflict and competition, sparking rapid innovation and political changes that shaped our modern world. So, what if Rome never fell? Maybe we'd be centuries ahead in technology. Maybe we'd be ruled by emperors. Or maybe we'd all just be arguing about toga fashion trends on Instagram. Either way, it shows you, history isn't inevitable. The fall of one empire completely reshaped the world we live in. So, what's your take? Would you rather live in a sleek Roman Empire or deal with our chaotic timeline? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe before I send a legion to your house. Trust me, you don't want that.